Most people think McDonald's sells burgers, but its true fortune is built on buying land and charging rent, not flipping patties. Since 1956, McDonald's has acted more like a global landlord than a restaurant, quietly collecting billions while others handle the kitchen risk. But how did a diner from the 1940s morph into a real estate empire hiding in plain sight? The answer changes everything you know about modern business. In 1948, Richard and Maurice McDonald opened a small drive-in in San Bernardino, California. Their breakthrough was the speedy service system, a method that turned the kitchen into an assembly line. Orders moved from grill to counter in seconds, cutting costs and eliminating the need for car hops and waitstaff. The menu shrank to focus on what sold fastest: hamburgers, fries, and shakes. By the early 1950s, this approach drew attention from entrepreneurs across the country, all hoping to copy the formula. But the McDonald brothers were cautious about expansion, granting only a handful of franchises and insisting on strict adherence to their system. Ray Kroc entered the story in 1954. A milkshake mixer salesman, he saw the potential for hundreds of identical restaurants nationwide. Kroc negotiated the right to franchise the brand, promising to uphold the brothers' standards. Eager to scale quickly, he sold franchises to operators from coast to coast. Yet with each new location, cracks appeared. Many franchisees cut corners or ignored the speedy system, hurting quality and consistency. Kroc collected one-time franchise fees and a small royalty, but revenue was unpredictable and hard to enforce. Without control over the land or buildings, Kroc had little leverage if an operator broke the rules. The restaurant chain was growing, but the business model left too much to chance. A new approach was needed, one that could deliver stability, control, and a lasting source of income. Harry Sonneborn joined McDonald's in 1956 with a background in commercial lending and a perspective that would change the company's future. He studied the problems plaguing Ray Kroc's expansion: unpredictable royalties, loose control over franchisees, and the risk of operators ignoring standards. Sonneborn presented a radical solution. McDonald's would stop relying on one-time franchise fees and instead become the landlord for every new restaurant. Sonneborn was blunt. You are not in the hamburger business, you are in the real estate business. The only reason we sell 15-cent hamburgers is because they are the greatest producer of revenue from which our tenants can pay us rent. The plan called for McDonald's to buy or lease land at prime locations, then build or develop the restaurant and rent the entire property to the franchisee at a markup. In 1956, the company created Franchise Realty Corporation, a dedicated property arm that would hold the land, handle leases, and use the steady flow of rent as collateral for bank loans. This approach meant McDonald's could expand without risking its own capital on daily operations. If a franchisee failed to pay or broke the rules, McDonald's held the lease and could quickly reclaim the site. The lease agreements tied rent to sales and required franchisees to cover taxes, insurance, and maintenance, locking in predictable income for the company. Sonneborn's system did not just solve cash flow, it handed McDonald's the power to enforce standards, and it fueled the blueprint for national then global scale. Franchise Realty Corporation began acquiring sites at a rapid pace. By the early 1960s, McDonald's held the land and buildings for hundreds of restaurants, using each new property as leverage for the next round of expansion. The company's balance sheet grew stronger with every location, as real estate holdings acted as collateral for bank loans. This structure allowed McDonald's to multiply its footprint far faster than competitors that relied on traditional restaurant profits. Instead of pouring capital into operating each restaurant, McDonald's shifted financial risk to franchisees. Operators invested their own funds to build out kitchens, hire staff, and handle the daily grind. In return, they gained access to the brand and a prime location, one that McDonald's owned or controlled through long-term leases. If a franchisee struggled or failed, the company kept the property and could quickly install a new operator. This asset-backed approach meant that even during downturns or local setbacks, the underlying property retained value and generated income. Today, about 85 to 95% of McDonald's nearly 39,000 worldwide locations are franchised. In the United States, the company owns the land or holds the master lease on roughly 70% of its restaurants. These properties are more than just addresses. They are the foundation of McDonald's financial strength. Each site is a revenue engine producing steady rent payments and serving as tangible proof of the company's scale. The real estate portfolio does not just support growth, it drives it, enabling McDonald's to expand aggressively while keeping its own risk in check. The result is a business model where the value lies not just in the brand or the burgers, but in the ground beneath each golden arch. Every new McDonald's location begins with a payment. The franchisee writes a check for an initial fee, usually around $45,000. That is the entry ticket, but it is just the beginning. The real money starts flowing after the doors open. Each month, the operator pays McDonald's a royalty, typically 4% of gross sales. This is not a suggestion, it is contractually required, and it comes straight off the top before any bills or wages. Royalty is non-negotiable. Then comes the rent. McDonald's charges a base rent plus a percentage, often totaling 8 to 12% of sales. In some cases, rent alone can reach $20,000 or more per month, regardless of how well the restaurant performs. Rent becomes the steady claim on revenue. Take a typical U.S. franchise. After paying the initial fee, the operator invests about $2.5 million to build out the store. Once open, the operator pays 4% of every dollar sold as a royalty, plus rent that can be fixed, variable, or a blend, sometimes pegged to sales, sometimes locked in for years. Add required advertising fund contributions, and the monthly outflows stack up fast. Even in a slow month, McDonald's collects rent and royalties before the operator sees a profit. This structure flips the usual restaurant math. Instead of relying on burger sales for profit, McDonald's collects steady contract-based income from thousands of franchisees. In recent years, more than half of the company's operating profit has come from these franchise payments, especially rent, which behaves more like a landlord's income than a restaurant's. The company's financial filings show franchise fees and rental income as the engine behind billions of dollars in annual profit. Real estate is the hidden engine. For operators, the pressure is constant. For McDonald's, the money flows in, rain or shine. Franchisees often find themselves caught between the promise of entrepreneurship and the weight of ongoing obligations. Each month, rent and royalty payments are due, no matter how sales fluctuate. When costs rise, or a local downturn hits, operators can struggle to break even. In the late 1990s, these pressures boiled over. A group of franchisees filed suit against McDonald's, arguing that escalating rent formulas, sometimes tied to rising sales, made it nearly impossible to stay profitable. The dispute settled quietly, but the message was clear. While McDonald's collects steady income from its properties, operators carry much of the risk. Meanwhile, independent restaurants nearby face a different challenge, as McDonald's scale and prime locations can squeeze local competition and reshape entire neighborhoods. 2015 saw a wave of investor pressure sweep through McDonald's boardroom. Shareholders urged the company to spin off its vast real estate holdings into a separate real estate investment trust, betting that Wall Street would reward the move with a higher valuation. The proposal promised to unlock billions in hidden value, but McDonald's leadership pushed back. They argued that holding the land was more than a financial play. It was the backbone of the business, providing leverage over franchisees and a steady income stream that could weather recessions and inflation alike. This resilience, built on decades of property control, has allowed McDonald's to outlast competitors and adapt to changing consumer habits, even as the debate over its real estate strategy continues to simmer among investors. Right now, McDonald's owns or controls over $42 billion in real estate, more than any other restaurant chain on earth. In a world where platforms and infrastructure decide who wins, understanding who holds the keys beneath our everyday choices has never mattered more. What hidden empires shape your world?